Welcome to that 80s show. Dori, is it my dick that's dirty?
It is yours.
I've got a filthy dick. There's not enough people around to clean our dicks. It's one dick. Oh, God. I sometimes feel like we should start again.
This might be too much of an inside joke.
Do you think so? Well, it's literally an outside joke.
It's an outside joke.
Outside joke. Welcome to that 80s show. I am Paulo. This is Dori. Dori and I had a pre-production meeting. Hey?
On the deck.
On the deck. We have an outside deck, but the deck is very dirty and left footprints leading into the studio. And I said, Dori, the deck is so dirty. Anyway. Oh, that 80s show. Welcome back to it. We know if you're listening to this that you love the 1980s as much as we do.
Indeed.
We love it a lot. We love Factoids. We love George Michael. We love Wham! And we love a lot of the stuff that's coming up in the show today. Ooh, Dori, what things do I have to regale you with? How has your week been in the 2024s as we're about to go back into the 80s?
Yeah, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
So for the next hour and a bit, we're going to go back to the 1980s. And of course, I'm going to start with David Hasselhoff. Naturally.
Fantastic.
Love David Hasselhoff on the show. So there is a documentary going on about Baywatch, right? It's on Disney Plus, and it's about the story, the rise of Baywatch. Okay?
I didn't know Baywatch had a rise. I mean, it used to create rises.
On your decks. Yes, indeed, Dori. Thank you for taking that joke. So it talks about the history of Baywatch, how they came to it. And of course, David Hasselhoff, huge part of it. I was very disappointed because I was like, they're about 15 minutes into this and we haven't seen the half yet.
Was it all about Pamela?
Episode 2 is a lot about Pamela because, of course, the season 1 of Baywatch, she wasn't in it. She only came in later.
Who was the other one? The brunette?
The Common Electra.
That was it.
Yeah, they were the two massive breakout stars.
Yeah.
But of course, David Hasselhoff came into the Baywatch party very late. But my God, I love him so much.
I never watched Baywatch. You know that, right?
What?
I
Really?
never watched it.
Really?
Never.
How come?
Which is why I had to ask who was the brunette.
How come you never watched it?
I don't know. It just wasn't my thing.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. No, I don't know what you're saying. It was very much my thing.
I think it was many men's things.
No, also women. The guys are very good looking. Hairless. Hairless. On Hairless, I don't know if you've watched the Menendez Brothers monster thing.
Haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but it's on my list.
They are so hairless.
Okay.
They're almost
unnaturally because their name's Menendez, so we know that that's not their natural state.
Listen, that's not. I mean, I
don't want to racially stereotype.
I totally understand where you're coming from, and I totally identify as that statement. But no, it's uncomfortably hairless. Like I even said, that's CGI, and my wife's like, no, some people are hairless. I was like, no one's that hairless. Not that hairless.
I mean, I've seen the trailers.
Yeah. So there's definitely CGI there. But the men on Baywatch were hairless. And this is the thing is the Hoff. Yeah. I mean, Dori, firstly, I mean, was he that big in Germany?
I don't know. I'm not from Germany.
Because
but obviously,
like we hear it all the time, but we only really hear it from him and things that he produces. Because the way they make this out, they keep going, well, you know, David Hasselhoff was, of course, he was the Knight Rider, but he was also this massive star in Germany. There's no way he's going to do our little beach show. I'm like, what?
Hang on, he was a massive music star in Germany.
Okay, let's see.
You are the expert here on the Euro music scene.
He had one song. I don't know if he was that big in Germany as he makes out.
Don't forget his little dalliance with Patricia about dancing.
Yeah, no,
don't forget.
I mean, in this, they have so much footage of him on the day the Berlin Wall came down. Of course,
wasn't he standing on the wall performing?
Yes, he performed. So he was first on a cherry picker above the wall, then he got on the wall, and at that moment, lightning, and the wall came down beneath his feet.
And he was in tight leather black pants, right?
And a very bedazzled jacket. It had lights on it. It had a light-up jacket. But every time he talks, oh my God, there is a part. I mean, the Hoff is firstly for his age, impeccable.
Yes, he has aged well.
And it's like, sure, there's some surgery in there as well, but the man has got good bones.
Considering that he went through a bit of a drinking bout, he looks good.
No, he looks really good. A big athletic dude. He's 6'5". As they say, 6'5". That's huge.
It's pretty big.
That's a huge guy. Still good, looking in good shape. But when he talks, oh my God, he is so melodramatic. And the thing they talk about is they like allude to this character of the Hoff that he created. And they say he's an absolute branding genius. Because the Hoff is just like, you cannot explain what the Hoff is until you see the Hoff.
Did he create the Hoff?
He created.
So it wasn't like a fan thing.
No, he created this persona, the myth, the brand. Look, maybe people were calling him the Hoff, but he went, fuck it, I'm taking this. This is mine.
Oh, yes.
Trademarked. He talks about, so you never watched Baywatch, but those of you who did, he had a son on Baywatch. So his character, Mitch Buchanan, was a single father. Okay. And the kid, I think his name is Jeremy Jackson or something like that. They actually had a very close relationship because it's the kid who played his son didn't have a father. He was from a single mother household. And David Hasselhoff became his father figure. And they seem to have had a really good relationship. They had a father and son relationship. And
can I just at this point say, who didn't feel that David Hasselhoff was their father figure?
I mean, so what this kid says, I think this Jeremy Jackson, probably about the same age as me. And he goes, you like, grow up watching Knight Rider. And he shows, so he starts going through all his Knight Rider stuff that he had, like Knight Rider lunchbox, and he keeps all the stuff that David Hasselhoff has sent him over the years in this lunchbox, right? And he says, like, this was my lunchbox, and I walk into the audition, and David Hasselhoff is there. And the producers of Baywatch wanted Leonardo DiCaprio to play his son. And David Hasselhoff was like, no, there's something about this kid. And he went to bat for him. He said, I want this kid to play my son. And he really went to bat for him. He said, there's something about him. We connect, like it works. And
I just want to look him up to see what else he's done, this kid.
He's mostly known for Baywatch.
Okay.
He was in Baywatch for almost 20 years.
I mean, you don't need to do much more than that.
No, he stayed in Baywatch for a very long time. That's good money. He's probably done like made for TV movies. He's probably tried stuff.
I'm going to look.
But he didn't break. He wasn't breakout. But because if you see him, you go, oh, that was the guy who was the kid in Baywatch.
The brunette I was thinking of was Yasmin Bleeth.
Oh, she wasn't in it for long. Really? You thought Yasmin Bleeth of a Common Electra? Interesting.
I don't know. She's the one I was thinking of for sure.
That's an interesting.
Jeremy Jackson.
Just shows the male and female mind.
Wow, Jeremy Jackson's really good looking.
That's what I'm telling you, Dori.
He is exactly the same age as you. He was also born in 1980.
Yeah, Dori, you are sleeping on Baywatch.
I clearly am. But hang on, he was a child in Baywatch.
But Dori, does he blossom?
Does he blossom? So watch the later episodes?
Watch later, because then he becomes one of the main characters. He becomes a lead.
A hairless man running on the beach.
Quite hairless.
I might be interested now.
So now they're telling the story about how David Hasselhoff, and then David Hasselhoff now. So now you know the story. So they're talking about the producer say, no, he went to bat for him. And Jeremy Jackson says, David Hasselhoff was really in my corner. Jeremy Jackson's mom says, no, David Hasselhoff was so phenomenal. Then David Hasselhoff tells the story.
Oh, God.
He goes, and then he came in and I got to tell you, that kid, just give me a second. That kid is like a son to me. He's like a son.
I mean, to say an actor has a flair for drama, duh.
He's so dramatic.
He is.
He's so
just
dramatic.
Intense. He's an intense man.
Oh,
he would not have been Michael Knight if he was not an intense man.
You know, the thing about David Hasselhoff is that he 100% loves being David Hasselhoff. For him, there is nothing better in life than being David Hasselhoff.
Wouldn't you feel the same if you were David Hasselhoff?
So you know who's similar? Thomas Anders.
Yes.
Thomas Anders loves being Thomas Anders.
Exactly.
Thomas Anders of Modern Talking, in case you don't know, loves nothing more than being Thomas Anders. We love him.
We love him as Thomas Anders.
We've had him on the show. Go back, check out Thomas Anders. Do a Google search on it, or do a search in your podcast app. And when we watched him perform about 2 and 3 months ago, totally loving being Thomas Anders. Just loves being Thomas Anders. And of course, I know you're a big fan of his Instagram, as am I. That man loves being Thomas Anders.
You're a bigger fan of the Instagram. You're always sending me the really cool posts.
His life is like, now this is the life you want. You were a massive pop star in the 80s. huge, right?
Yeah.
You've had your days and you're always clean living. Now you're in a stage where you go, you know what? I'll make some new music. I'll publish myself. Big in Germany as well.
Yes.
I think Germany's the key, yeah?
I mean, he is German.
I think Germany's the key, yeah,
But
Dori.
he is German. That's the difference.
Okay, yeah. But I think being German's the key, yeah.
Possibly.
Should we redo the show in German? Because there feels to be like a love for 80s things there. Hey? Let's think about it. For the Stasi. But let's think about it.
You're still thinking about the piss goblin. I know you are.
Okay. Do yourself a quick Google on that. No time to go into it while we talk about our dirty decks. And he, as being a very rich German man, he summers. We heard he told us he goes to Ibiza in the summer. He hangs out with Sandra.
With, the other rich 80s German
friends.
people.
And his Instagram over this time of year is the absolute best because it's not the best because his Christmas Instagram is even better.
I was about to say, isn't Christmas better? Yes.
His Christmas Instagram is even better. So many woolen jerseys.
Where is the Thomas Anders Christmas album that we all need?
There is one.
Is there?
Yeah, you know he did a cover of Last Christmas.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah. So the one particular thing. So in his Instagram, he's on yachts. He's at Grand Prix. He's at tennis tournaments. He's eating in the finest restaurants. This man enjoys a meal. Let the man have a meal.
Let's just be frank here. He just needs to be seen because he's not an ugly man.
That is a daddy. We've spoken about it before, right?
Yeah.
That is a daddy. Lovely photo this week. Piqued my interest. Piqued all our interests on a wine farm, fondling a bunch of grapes.
Literally grapes.
Literally
Get
grapes.
your mind out the gutter, people.
Literally
grapes.
A massive 2-handful bunch of grapes, but his fingers gently around each one, feeling the rich tannins. Grapes have tannins, I think.
I don't know.
Wine has tannins. I assume they come from the grapes. So that is Thomas Anders, fondling grapes, loving being German. Another thing I saw this week, Dori, God-level rickrolling.
Okay.
This was God-level rickrolling. So if you don't know rickrolling, you send somebody an innocuous link about something. You got to see this. They click on it. It's never going to give you up. Over 1 billion views, 1.5 billion views on YouTube of that video. Most of them rickrolled. I saw a God-level rickroll this week on... Have you heard of Threads by Instagram?
I have heard of it. I do not partake, but I've heard of it.
It's like Facebook, Twitter. It's like... It's a weird... I don't know what it is. But I saw this... Someone had posted a link to it. You know when a video has been blocked on YouTube, being removed by rights holders?
Yeah.
So somebody goes, oh my God, I can't believe that they've actually, after over 1 billion views, taken off the Rick Astley video. Okay? Read it why here.
Oh, who fell for that?
That is God level. Dori, that is God level. That is God level rickrolling. That is God-level rickrolling. I was very impressed by that.
I've told you about the See More group on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's what they do. It's literally called See More ... And like if a post is too long on Facebook, it automatically adds See More ... Well, ... See More, whatever. And these people go and find pages and groups and places to do this. And of course, it links to Never Gonna Give You Up.
You got a rickroll.
Yeah, like a professional bunch of rickrollers.
Rickroll a friend today. Tell them you're thinking of them. Rickroll them.
I think it's something that more people should be doing more often.
I feel the world would be a better place.
Mm-hmm.
I feel you and I had a conversation about our very frustrating work weeks.
We did.
We also had a conversation about your ghost, but that's a whole different. I won't bring that up on the show.
Yes, poltergeist. Poltergeist in my house.
Oh, a Christine Carr. For fear of hauntings, we'll just leave that alone. We had a very frustrating. Our work week has been so frustrating. Will we have the energy for the show? We're like feeling so down because of work. Evidently not. I feel we're vibrant. We're bouncing around.
Because you talked about the Hoff and Thomas Anders.
But also rickrolling. So rickroll a friend.
Mm.
There's a friend who's maybe down today.
Show them. Show them that you care.
Yeah, you care for them. You go, I'm thinking of you. I'm never going to give you up. You know? That's what Rick Astley would want.
I think that many of my friends would not appreciate it, I have to say.
Get new friends.
I agree.
Get new friends, Dori. It's so simple to make friends at our age. So here's something I had a thought on. found an article on Cracked. Love crack.com. Go check it out. Most of the content's from no, it's not. So they had an article about TV show endings that let us down, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, they
I
got
saw that one.
Game of Thrones.
Lost.
Right, Lost.
Dexter.
They're all in there, right? Yep. I didn't watch a lot of those. I don't really buy into that TV show hype. You know, I still haven't watched Game of Thrones.
Well, me neither.
Yeah.
It's not my vibe. I watched the first 10 minutes of episode 1. I went, nope.
Same. I've been through 6 weeks of bed rest with a broken leg and COVID, and I still didn't watch Game of Thrones.
Same.
Yeah.
However, I did watch Lost, and I did watch Dexter, and I'm still not over it.
Really?
Yeah.
That gets you. That gets you. So, it did mention one 80s TV show on that list. Okay. Which got me doing some research.
Okay.
To go, okay, let's go look at the other big...
Was this the Saint Elsewhere thing? Because remember that ending.
And Quantum Leap.
Oh.
So
Don't make me cry.
Talk about both of those so we can get into it. So Saint Elsewhere.
Saint Elsewhere.
This is
that
the
was, I'm sorry.
Even thinking about it again, I'm so angry.
Saint Elsewhere, I mean, I didn't actually watch the show much. Like, it wasn't really my kind of medical drama. But it was a hugely popular show. My parents watched it religiously.
Doogie Howser was my 80s medical drama.
Yeah, I suppose mine too. But St. Elsewhere was hugely popular. And then they copped out the ending so badly. And I still don't know why they felt the need to do this, where they made it like a delusion of a child in his mind. The whole thing was in his mind the whole time.
He had like a head injury and it was a snow globe.
There was a snow globe. I think he might have been autistic.
Yeah, he imagined the whole thing.
They made like it was all in his imagination. Yeah. For what, I don't know.
How many seasons of Saints Elsewhere?
So many.
Multiples. And it was all just a kid's dream.
Why? Still don't know why.
And then Quantum Leap, of course.
Quantum Leap, Sam didn't get to go home.
Right.
It was never resolved.
Never resolved. And then even you started watching the new Quantum Leap.
I watched 2 episodes and was like, nope.
I'm still not doing it, right?
Can't.
So... Quantum Leap was mentioned. Elf was mentioned in this. I
don't remember Elf.
Well, I'm going to tell you about it. I'm going to go through some of the biggest TV shows of the 80s. Some of these ended in the 90s. And tell you about what their season finale was, how they signed out. Okay, here we go. So, The Cosby Show. We know how it ended for Bill Cosby. The show ends with Theo's college graduation. I'm surprised it ended so early. Because Theo was the oldest son. The Lisa Bonet character was older than him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think when the show started, he was like maybe the beginning of high school.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So it ends with him. There's a big graduation party at the house. He goes off to college, and Cliff and Claire dance to a jazz band playing in their living room. Fade out, The Cosby Show. Right?
I mean, can I just get serious for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
You know that the whole thing about The Cosby Show was it was a breakthrough. It was groundbreaking because it was the first show that showed successful black family. You know, it wasn't like other sitcoms that featured black characters around the time, which were just kind of silly.
And they were always hammy.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So that actually sounds like the perfect ending with that kind of, you know.
Because it's like future generational wealth.
Yeah.
He's going to go on, yeah. Because Theo was like bad at school.
Yeah.
And he like didn't take things seriously.
He turned his life around.
In college.
Look, his parents still together. He has a present dad.
Yes.
He's a doctor.
Yes. They listen to jazz.
Jazz.
So good ending for The Cosby Show. Cheers. Oh, do you know that they're making a UK version of Cheers?
What?
Yeah. Because they're making an Australian version of The Office. And they're making so they're rebooting Cheers, but a UK version.
There's nobody writing new stuff anymore. Like, it just doesn't exist.
In the final episode, One for the Road, Sam closes the bar. The final episode saying goodbye to all the characters, all the friends over the years.
The bar closes.
Closes the bar. The last shot shows him adjusting a picture of his old love, Diane, switches off the lights, and then as he leaves, a customer comes in. He says, no, sorry, the bar is closed. Closes, lights off. Nobody knows your name. That's Cheers, the final episode.
Remember the end of Newhart?
Ooh.
Almost as bad as St. Elsewhere.
I don't have that on the list. What is
remember the end of Newhart, where it was like all a dream. The whole thing was all a dream, and this weird, very St. Elsewhere-ish.
Such a cop-out.
Why?
Family Ties with Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, I don't remember.
That was forced into...
It's entirely possible I never watched the end because we didn't have, viewing on demand back then. If you missed stuff, you missed stuff. I mean, like if you had a video machine, lucky you. But it's entirely possible I didn't see the end of a lot of these shows.
The other thing that we kind of have to remember in South Africa is that we were always a little bit behind on TV shows.
Yeah.
So like Family Ties ended in 1989. We could have the season finale could only have come in 92, 93, if it ever showed here.
Exactly.
We were always, like kids.
Yeah.
Or younger people, even if you're in your 30s listening to the show, we would not get shows the same day as they released. There was no such thing. We'd get them maybe a year, 2 years, a year if we're lucky.
Yes.
They came here, right? So Family Ties ended 1989. Of course, I don't think they could keep up with the career of Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
And his character, Alex P. Keaton, moves to New York for a job on Wall Street. Finally gets his dream job. The family doesn't deal well with his departure. It's a big thing. So the final episode is all dealt with the family's emotions about the rock of the family and the star of the show. Let's be honest.
Yes.
And it's all very emotional and love and support for the Keaton family. Kind of the lame-ass ending you're going to expect.
Yeah, it sounds a bit lame.
Miami Vice finale.
Oh, my goodness.
Miami Vice started getting very weird.
It did.
Because it's always about listen, it was a lot about drug dealers and taking down cartels and whatever. They eventually take down Crockett and Tubbs, little old Crockett and Tubbs in their loafers and their linen suits, take down a corrupt Central American dictator. That is very different to taking down cocaine cowboys in Miami. They go straight out. The final episode, they take down a corrupt Central American dictator, and then they go, you know what? Our lifestyle's getting a little bit too dangerous. This is way more than dealing with drunkards on spring break. We're out. And they both go their separate ways. Miami was great for us. We need to move out of Miami and start our lives.
Okay.
That's how Miami Vice ended.
All right.
I have a feeling that there was some sort of spin-off on Miami Vice. At least a movie. I got a funny feeling. But anyway,
Don't know.
Miami Vice got batshit. I mean, if they're, honestly, if you're taking down dictators, you're just cops. You're cops.
Look, it was never a realistic show.
I know, but at least stay in Miami. I mean, I understand how they would have
I'm
ended
very
up.
sad that Miami Vice has not stood the test of time because I have tried to watch it since
very
the
much
80s
of the
and
time.
it is unwatchable.
Very much of the time.
But I loved it so much in the 80s.
Miami Vice, you love the spin-off Miami Mice. Fantastic.
Yes.
Magnum P.I. It ended in a two-parter, called Resolutions. Magnum decides to leave his private investigator life behind and rejoin the Navy.
Huh?
You'll remember he was a seaman. Sorry. He was a seaman.
I laughed in anticipation of you making a joke.
I mean, really. And so he decides, enough private investigating, I'm rejoining the Navy. He is reunited, I don't remember this at all, with his long-lost daughter.
Huh?
Yeah, he had a long-lost daughter.
Okay.
Huh? Exactly. I had no recollection how old she was. No, none of that at all. The Golden Girls.
This I vaguely remember.
So we spoke about the spin-off of this, but Dorothy marries Blanche's uncle Lucas and moves away. And she's also out of Miami.
Yeah.
No, they were in Florida. I think they were in Florida. And now it's the remaining girls dealing with her departure. And then, of course, they did the spin-off called Golden Palace, of where the remaining Golden Girls go and open a hotel. I reviewed it on the show. See,
No.
not even the
Literally don't remember
the
it.
recommendation was memorable.
I can't even.
Yeah, they did a spin-off. It was 8 episodes.
I thought that there was a spin-off that was like Betty White doing something.
So
but
it
it was
was
a different show
It was the
entirely.
remaining 3 Golden Girls that
Okay.
opened a hotel. Don Cheadle was in it. Yeah. True story.
Wow. I feel like someone's taken that out of my brain.
I think it took
completely.
out of
It's gone.
everybody's brain. MASH, the finale. The MASH finale.
You see, I never watched MASH, but I've
Neither
heard
did I,
so much about
Because
this.
it was the most watched TV show episode.
Yeah.
It's still one of the most watched TV episodes ever.
And if you talk to people who watched MASH, like they'll start crying if you mention it.
Yeah, people loved
Yeah.
it. So it's just all about their goodbyes because the Korean War ends and now they're like, okay, well, everyone's going to go back home. And they're like, great, we're going back home. But we're also upset because we're leaving this. And then they had spin-offs. They had After MASH. They had, there was always a MASH thing. They tried to keep it going for a while, but it was pointless after then. Knight Rider.
Mm-hmm. Don't remember.
No, they didn't make a deal of it. It was just a normal episode. The last episode was called Voodoo Night. Michael Knight investigates a series of murders linked to voodoo.
Cool.
And it didn't have a definitive finale. It was just another episode. I don't think they expected it. And then, of course, they wrapped up all the loose ends in Michael Knight 2000.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't tried rewatching Knight Rider. I don't think it will have stood the test of time.
Oh, you know what? For me,
I just don't think so.
No. You kind of go, I'm going to be cynical. But once that music starts, then I'm in. Then I'm completely in. No, Dori.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
What's not to like? Their theme song is the best. Kits is the best. David Hasselhoff is the best. When they drive Kits into the back of the truck is the best. It's the best. You'll fucking love it. No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's dead for that.
That and MacGyver and the A-Team.
Okay, so next up is the A-Team.
Okay.
Again, also, they didn't expect to be cancelled. Just a normal episode, helping a restaurant owner fight off mobsters, which is kind of like mid-level for the A-Team.
Yeah.
Some of the shit that they did. But there was no formal conclusion, and it was just they're going to carry on living the fugitive lifestyle. We never knew if they got pardoned for the crime they didn't commit. We still, to this day, do not know if they got a pardon.
And did BA get over his fear of flying?
Pity the fool. Pity the fool. Growing Pains. Fuck, I hated Growing Pains.
I liked it at the time, but that's before Kirk Cameron became a complete insane person.
Well, so the Seavers, they sell their family home and move to Washington.
Okay.
Remember, they were quite hippie-ish, and there was a whole there was a whole political thing that anyway, and then it's just like a kind of I remember episode. So it was a recap of their journey over the past few years.
Probably one of the cheesier shows, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all.
I certainly wouldn't want to watch it again.
No, I didn't like it at all. Here's the one, Alf, the series finale. So in the series finale, so Alf was obviously from another planet. On the season finale, his planet phone him to come home. So they say, you need to come back home.
They phone him.
No, they contact him to come back home.
E.T. phones home.
And
home phones Alf.
So home phones Alf. So now they are gathering to where he's going to be picked up. The family's saying their goodbyes to him. And then he got double crossed because as he's about to get picked up, the FBI show up and they capture him.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
And they capture him. So he was left on a cliffhanger. They did resolve it because there was a made-for-TV movie, which I've spoken about before as well, called Project Alf.
Yes.
Where they wrap up everything.
Does he get to go home?
He does go home.
Good. At least someone does.
Three's Company, called Friends and Lovers. Jack finally finds love.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they finally have a threesome.
That's way better. I'm not going to read the rest of it. That is way better. That's what happens. Three's Company, they have a threesome. Finally. And then Mr. Furley knocks on the door and it becomes a foursome. I'm never going to...
No, tell us what really happened. Come on.
You can't after that.
Oh, come on.
How are you supposed to... okay, so Jack finds love, Janet gets married, and Terry moves to Hawaii. Boring.
So boring.
Exactly. Yours was way better. Dynasty ended on a cliffhanger.
Did it?
Yeah. The Carringtons are under attack. Blake gets shot. Alexis falls off a balcony. None of the storylines are ever resolved.
Oh, God. I probably watched that because I watched that show religiously and I was probably very frustrated about it.
It's like they just left it completely open. Unlike Dallas,
the
final called The Conundrum, JR gets shown what life would be like if he was never born.
Sounds familiar.
Yes. So he gets shown his whole family. He was never born. Faced with despair, he considers suicide, but the show ends ambiguously.
So they basically, It's a Wonderful Life did.
Literally, that's what here says, a wonderful lifestyle episode. Charles in charge. Charles is accepted into Princeton, but he has to say goodbye to the family.
So he's no longer in charge.
No longer in charge. Charles just a bitch at Princeton. Who's the boss?
We know how Who's the Boss ended.
We do.
Because we've discussed that.
Tony gets a job offer, would have required him to move away, but he turns it down to stay with Angela. And then they finally realize they belong together, but we never know what they did.
Yeah.
It's left
also, weren't they dancing or something?
They dance. They dance in the end, yeah.
Yeah.
Moonlighting, here's a weird one.
I never really watched that. It wasn't great.
Neither did I, but of course, Bruce Willis, massive star, Sybil Shepherd, they're so huge. This one, they call it a fourth wall breaking down, where the characters become aware that they're in a TV show.
Oh my
And they're
God.
aware that the TV show got cancelled.
Oh, come on.
It's terrible.
That is terrible.
I'm telling you what happened here is Bruce Willis again became too big a star. When did Die Hard come out? He must have still been he must have still been doing moonlighting. Bruce Willis, what happened here is Bruce Willis was too big a star. He got offered a movie. They're like, shit, we didn't expect to end it now. We got to end it, so let's call
you can end it differently.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, so that's what
Did
they
they
did.
think they were being clever?
Maybe.
They probably thought they were being arty.
They probably
and
thought it'd be
clever.
arty, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Because
no.
moonlighting was always a little bit arty.
Wonder Years, the finale finished with Kevin and Winnie. They saying goodbye. And then Kevin kind of says what happens. He doesn't marry Winnie.
Yeah.
Talks about how his best friend became Marilyn Manson. And then, of course, about his father's death.
Wow.
You've heard that rumor.
Yes, I remember.
It's not true.
I know.
And then in Perfect Strangers, it's called Up and Away, 2-part series finale. Larry and Balky both achieve their dreams. Larry becomes an investigative reporter and Balky receives a promotion at his job. He had quite a shitty job, so I don't quite know what promotion he got. But the biggest development is that in both their lives, Jennifer and Mary Ann give birth. Jennifer goes into labor first and delivers a son, followed by Mary Ann, who gives birth to twin boys. And so now cousin...
So they're not perfect strangers anymore by the end.
Now they're a perfect quadruple. And then also the original MacGyver, final one, 2-part episode called The Stringer. MacGyver learns that he has a son named Sean Sam Malloy. Why he'd not have the same name as him. Was raised by his mother, is now an adult.
His mother's name.
He's a photojournalist, and the two quickly bond while working together to bring down an illegal arms operation. And then, of course, MacGyver goes, well, now I've got a family, and I'm leaving the dangerous work behind, and I'm going to go right off into the sunset on a motorcycle.
That I have put together myself in 5 minutes.
Yes, out of...
using string.
An air freshener and a used sweetie jar.
And some gum.
And gum. Because I literally just looked around the studio and saw what is here and what could I MacGyver together. So that is a lot of endings of TV shows.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of them were really terrible.
I know.
Hey?
I think just go on forever.
Yeah.
How do you ever end stuff? I think the only TV show that ended satisfactorily was Friends.
And Breaking Bad. Let me guess, you haven't watched it.
No, Breaking Bad. I did watch it.
I thought it. I don't know anyone who was upset about the ending of Breaking Bad. Yeah, Friends.
Yeah, because Walter White got what was coming
Friends
to him.
was okay. It was also a little bit like. Schlocky.
I think it was. They're always going to be schlocky.
Yeah.
They're always going to be schlocky. But I mean, like when you call some of them in, like Moonlighting.
Yo.
I mean, and then of course Seinfeld completely going so meta that they just had the worst ending ever.
Well, I'm still making my way through Seinfeld. It's going very slowly.
Do you not know the ending of Seinfeld?
Vaguely remember, but you can remind me.
They get arrested. They go to jail.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember the scene. Okay.
And you remember
yes,
from
yes.
Curb, it's a whole season plotline in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes.
When they're doing the Seinfeld reunion. So that is the ending of many a show. And we're now going to get into our TV show and movie recommendations for the week. Dori, should I play the song now?
Play it.
Underground, overground, wombling free. The Wombles of Wimbledon, common are we. Making good use of the things that we find. Things that the everyday folks leave behind.
How many of you remembered every single word?
Me, and I don't remember anything ever, and that is forever seared into my brain.
Why?
Forever.
Why?
Because I used to watch that show every day that it was on, and I used to sing along to it every time. And even though it was from the 70s, we definitely watched it in the 80s
all through the 80s. I remember, so of course that is, if you don't recognize it,
I mean, come on.
the theme song for the Wombles. It is a TV show started in the 70s about a group of, are Wombles real creatures?
No, I don't think, I mean, they're similar to some other creatures. They're a little bit like a mole, a little bit like a raccoon.
Yes, okay.
But like they're not. There's no such thing as a womble.
No, but there is such a thing as Wimbledon and Wimbledon Commons.
Yes.
There is a nice statue of Uncle Bulgaria in Wimbledon Commons. And they were these creatures who lived underground, in the ground, and they
collected rubbish and recycled it.
Recycling. Early days, good message.
Very, very ahead of its time.
For the 70s and 80s. And we loved that show. It was always on. It was on as fillers because they were short episodes. So when you had like a gap between two episodes, they'd play Wombles. That's why it was always on. I remember over Christmas programming, they'd just have like complete blocks of Wombles for hours.
So, funnily enough, it only ran from 1973 to 1975. It feels like it went on forever.
Really?
For us, right? I know.
My God.
Doesn't it feel like it went on for like at least a decade?
And I know there were later remakes, but
but
through the 80s, there were never more Wombles made.
And so 60 episodes in total, which is actually quite a bit.
It's a lot.
It is quite a bit.
Imagine that because they were puppets. Again,
yes.
There was
stop animation. Stop animation.
Well, stop
motion
puppets.
Yes.
But they weren't claymation. Yeah, motion puppets.
But way less scary than Liver Hexie.
Oh, Jesus. It's very easy that.
Not hard to be less scary than Liver Hexie.
Yeah.
The Wombles was such a wholesome show.
It really was.
Such a family-friendly, lovely show. So when I was looking up the Wombles, because I wanted to just remind people about them, I found a really funny article called "Is Wombling Legal?"
Oh, this is a sex
No. This is not.
Thing.
This is not a sex thing. This is not a Urban Dictionary thing. But of course, I was intrigued, so I clicked the link. How funny is this, right?
So, firstly, whatever wombling is, can I take a guess?
You will never guess what it is.
I want to guess if it's legal or illegal.
Okay.
I think wombling's illegal.
It's not illegal.
Okay. What is wombling?
How weird is this? Okay. Wombling is where you collect up old discarded supermarket receipts dropped on the floor or left in trolleys and collect the points left on them. This is a UK thing. This doesn't happen here. But in the UK, you can do this, right? So people go and like find the other people's receipts, and then you can. So it says you have to you're able to claim the difference back.
Yeah.
If you go to a rival supermarket and find something cheaper, you can say, "Hey, I found this cheaper," and then they'll give you back the money. So people do this. People literally do this, and then they get money back. Or they get vouchers for the difference in the slips.
Listen,
this sounds like a full-time job to me.
No, it's very clever. That is definitely when you in a country where it's manageable to be on welfare.
I mean, it's very British. This is a very British thing.
Yeah.
So what it says here, technically collecting a receipt is not illegal, nor is comparing the cost of the shopping. The grey area is the bit where you redeem the difference, since you are not explicitly claiming that receipt is yours. And you are misleading then, basically.
How do you prove?
Well, exactly. There's no way to prove it.
There's no way to prove
No
it's
way
not
to
you.
prove it. I guess unless people have paid with a credit card, but even then, I don't think.
Yeah, there's no, yeah.
Yeah. So that's something. That's a funny
today.
thing that I learned when I was looking into the Wombles of my childhood. Is now you know what wombling is, and it's not nearly as dirty as you thought.
Geez, I thought because I'm going like Wombles, they have long noses, they go down burrows, there's garbage involved. My mind just went.
Went to the dirty deck.
Oh my God, it was such a dirty deck where my mind was. So the Wombles started out like most of these things, a children's book.
Yes.
Apparently, it says Wombles live everywhere in the world.
Oh.
But this story focused mainly on the Wombles of Wimbledon.
Okay.
Did they ever do a spin-off of like the Wombles of Brakpan?
The Wombles of LA.
It's like, that's the shit that I want to see, right? Like the spin-off Wombles. Where are the rest of the Wombles?
The Wombles of like Hillbrow, where they're collecting up like needles and shit.
Like the guys who'd ride around on the big big carts collecting recycling. Yeah.
They are our Wombles.
The Wombles of Parkhurst. Or the Wombles
of Parkhurst. Well, remember there was that restaurant in Parktown North
called Wombles. I think it's still going.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Never went there. I heard it was good though.
Are we eating trash? So the Wombles lived everywhere. They used to do songs as well. A number of spin-off novelty songs also became hits in the British music charts. The Wombles pop group was the idea of British singer and composer Mike Batt. Their motto is make good use of bad rubbish.
Such a good message. They really should, I won't say redo Wombles because they tried that and it didn't work.
No.
But they should rerun the original Wombles on kids' TV now.
For messages, because
Such good
everyone can
messages.
recycle. Of course, the Womble characters, Great Uncle Bulgaria.
Yes.
I always just remember his name. I remember all the Wombles, but I remember his name.
Yeah.
Tobamori. He was the brother. Oh no, it was based on the writer's brother, but he was the dad kind of the Wombles. Love the name.
Were
Love
there
the
any
name.
female Wombles?
Orinoco.
Orinoco. Were they female? I mean, they
There
had
were-
to have
there
been
were
female
female-
Wombles,
there were.
of course, yes.
There was Bungo. Is Orinoco's best friend. Tomsk was athletic but rather dim Womble.
It was cool how they all had different characteristics, just like people.
Wellington, very scientific. Remember what Wellington had the glasses? Clever Womble.
Yes.
Female Madame Cholet. She was kind of the matriarch Womble.
Yes.
And then Alderney, who was Madame Cholet's assistant. And she was a younger Womble, but with a slight disregard for the rules. more Wombles that came later. Cousin, Carringworm, McWomble, Shancy, Stepney, and Obidos.
Imagine how much fun the creators had just coming up with the names of the Wombles.
So a lot of the names are named after places. So Obidos is a place in Brazil. Tomsk is a place in Russia.
Tobamori's, I've been to a place called Tobamori in Canada.
Could be.
Yeah.
Shanxi's in China. Orinoco, obviously Japan. So that's how they could just throw it at the map. Is like I say, there could be a Womble called Brackpan. So that is the Womble. So many characters actually as I go through here. Are there Wombles episodes on YouTube?
I actually haven't checked, I'll be honest.
They're probably there
They probably are.
because it's old
gonna
enough.
guess so.
It's old enough now. I
I'm
think
going to guess at least one or two.
has to be for you to get a feeling of the Wombles.
But I'll tell you what's definitely on YouTube is the theme song. So
Yes.
go and play it and sing along because you will remember all the words.
What I loved is how intricate their little burrows were. Because like you say, each one had a personality. Each one of their
Yeah.
burrows was kind of like themed on their personality. And a lot of intricate little detail. I loved, I don't know if, it's because sometimes you watch these things of kids and obviously we imagine the Wombles to be quite small because they shot in scale. But when the actual puppetry, they're quite big. But I love the thought of like how teeny tiny all the little stuff in their little burrows must have been. Like their little books and their little cups and their little things.
Yeah.
But then were they really tiny or were they bigger for perspective?
We need behind the scenes Wombles.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, because they went
I'm gonna go
underground,
look for that.
overground, background. That's what I want. How did they make the Wombles? Are the Wombles still alive? Where are the puppets? They must be in a museum. They have to
Logically, not like in the depths of the hell of the SABC like Lever Hexie.
be. Yeah. If you found a Womble, have you ever captured a Womble? If you've seen a Womble, tell us. We want to know. Great recommendation, Dori. Good, just to remind
More of a
us of the
reminder.
Womble. Just a
Yeah.
reminder.
Yeah, you don't have
And-
to go watch it. Just remember if you watched it as a kid.
What's very good is, like, I'm going to joke about a sensitive topic, but I think this is, go with me on this.
Okay.
So the BBC, they did something this past week where they've basically made their entire music and mainly the sound effect library available to anybody
For free?
for free.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
if you're you're in the audio business, you can just go in and take any BBC sound effects. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of sound effects going back to the 1920s.
Why would they do this?
So one of the things is, this is exactly why I'm getting into it, is because it's part of an initiative they're using for dementia awareness. And they say that those old sounds
Wow.
are great for helping people with dementia.
Yeah.
You know, because because it's like news reports and things like that, and people are hearing them, so it's part of their initiative that they're kind of partnering with that.
Very cool.
And it's just so amazing how, like, you and I don't remember shit. Like, we forget
Nothing.
everything. I have not heard the Wombles theme song in ages. We both sat here saying every word.
Yep.
You know, so and you will as well. You not have seen the Wombles in years. You'll sing every song. or every word of the song. So that is the Wombles. My movie this week is, again, another movie by Roger Corman.
Cool.
Roger Corman, the king of B grade. And what he did is if he saw a genre that was a hit, he'd make it.
Okay.
Just worse.
So he borrowed a lot.
So last week we spoke about Munchies.
Yes, how he borrowed the Gremlins.
Totally. And he did this often, and he actually didn't care because he's like, well, you know what? There's a market. People like it. I'm going to make them.
No one's stopping me.
No, I can't. You can't own the concept of little creatures. No one can own it.
Yeah.
So he did a lot of that stuff. He did a lot of flesh and fantasy movies. And of course, he's going to get involved in angsty movies. He's going to have a crack at it. Dori, I think you're going to, I don't think you've ever heard of my movie before. I don't think you've ever watched it, but
You had me at angsty.
I think you could love it.
Okay.
I think you could love it.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you even more so. One thing you may not love, one thing you will love. It's an angsty 80s movie that is directed by a lady who went on to direct Wayne's World and is also the inspiration behind a pop song that wasn't written for the movie, but was inspired by the movie. So we're not talking Ghostbusters, who you're going to call. We're not talking Huey Lewis and the News Back in Time, right?
Okay.
This 80s pop group saw the movie, loved the movie, made a song about the movie, the themes of the movie.
Okay.
So Roger Corman decides I'm going to get into angst. We need angst. Angst is big. People love angst. St. Elmo's Fire, these things are happening. Angst. We need angst. So he makes his own. He gets a director called Penelope Spheris.
Yes.
Okay, you know her. You would
I do
know
know
her.
of her, yes.
Right. Now, she was mainly a documentary maker. Okay, but in the 80s, like, if you watch documentaries, you were like, oh, because documentaries weren't mainstream.
No, not like they are now.
Yeah, like now.
I think Netflix was largely responsible for that.
Now there's documentaries all over the place. People watch Easy Skid. Like documentaries in the 80s is kind of like podcasts now. It's not quite that mainstream yet. It's just like a bunch of nerdy people still into it, right?
Yes.
So I just basically called all of you nerds. But anyway, we make them.
We're part of it.
Yeah, we're bigger nerds.
Yeah.
She got approached to make this movie. And she was like, well, look, I'm a documentary maker. I've wanted to make this movie about punk culture. Okay? This documentary, but no one's ever going to fund a documentary like that. So she makes this movie, and the movie's got a very documentary feel. Okay? Here's where you're going to know the song straight away. The movie is from 1983 called Suburbia.
Okay.
Right? Of course, that's the Pet Shop Boys song.
I actually have seen this movie.
Right.
I have.
Okay.
Very long ago.
So it is a coming-of-age movie. Starts with two teenage runaways. They're not. They're kind of two separate runaways. One is a girl. She befriends a mother and a child at a bus stop. The mother turns her back, and wild dogs attack the child and kill it. That's like straight away, straight up. That's the start of the movie.
Hectic.
And you're like,
Hectic.
holy shit. The other thing was, we were very scared of packs of wild dogs in the 80s.
Almost as scared as we were of quicksand.
Yeah,
Almost.
Yeah. What? Like, why were there packs of wild dogs just wandering around? Dingoes were eating babies. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of wild dog attacks. I don't think dogs... We never talk about how aggressive dogs were in the 80s. Dogs
Are they better now?
not aggressive like that.
Maybe it's because of Cesar?
Could be.
Cesar, what his name is, the dog guy.
Like, we all got bitten by dogs in the 80s.
It is true.
It's true.
I did.
Yeah, like, you barely get bitten by a dog now. I was like, constantly, you jump the wall, your neighbor's dog bites you, you're always getting bitten by dogs in the 80s, right?
80s dogs were
dicks?
You said it.
And 80s dogs were dicks. Anyway, these particular wild dogs eat this baby. Like, what the fuck is going on here? That's how the movie starts. Then there's the other runaway. He is abused, got an alcoholic mother. She's very abusive. He also runs away. And both of them end up in Suburbia. Okay?
Right.
And they've got nowhere to stay. They've got nothing going on. And they befriend a group of punks who are living at a crash house. And the punks they're punks. And they don't really bother anybody. They just kind of do their little punk things. They'll occasionally go steal food from people. But other than that, they don't really...
They're not like troublemakers.
No, they're not troublemakers, but of course, they're punks. Oh, look at the punks.
Anti-establishment.
Oh, look at those punks. And they don't help themselves, but they're also like, listen, we're just misunderstood kids. Leave us alone. We don't bother anybody.
Did they have safety pins in their noses?
So this is what I liked about this movie is the depiction of the punks. Because that's what mohawks, safety pins, all that. there's all ranges of punks.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's more true to life, that punks weren't all
No.
like that, right?
Yeah.
So there's quite a range of different punks that you see. It's like, oh, that's interesting. The movie, nothing really happens in the movie. It's just a lot of examining punk culture. And I think that's why, because she's a documentary maker. Because she wanted, and it feels very documentary-ish. Because, you know, sometimes in documentaries, nothing, especially old ones, nothing really happens. It's just an observation. And a lot of what happens here is observation. There's not much that happens also because there weren't any real actors. All the punks were actually really punks.
Yeah. That makes sense, actually.
Yes, they were all actually punks. They weren't actors.
Yeah.
So there wasn't much she could do. And we're just kind of like, okay, well, just behave like punks.
Yeah.
So a lot of that happened. Also, the documentary feel of it is a lot centers around this nightclub, a punk club. And all the bands that play that were actual real punk bands of the time.
Makes sense.
And the performances are shot very like, they're not background. They're very much focus, and they get a chance to like talk about who they are. So it's quite a strange movie in that it's a movie, but it's documentary like. Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's in it.
Yes, I remember that.
He's in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if Red Hot Chili Peppers has been around for ages. I mean, I wonder if he would have been in Red Hot Chili Peppers then. They were formed in 1982. So yeah, he was Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers, of course. Red Hot Chili Peppers also end up in one of the best movies of the 80s, Thrashing. They in there?
Yeah.
Do you know that?
I don't remember. I don't even know if I've seen it, but I know you've spoken about
in
it
Thrashing,
before.
the skateboard movie with James Brolin.
Yeah.
Josh Brolin. You know Josh Brolin? He's, how old is he now? He's in his 60s?
James Brolin.
James Brolin's the dad.
Yes.
Josh Brolin's the son.
Yes.
Thanos. He's in his 60s, right? Should you be a 60-year-old Josh? Surely you should be a Joshua now. You know what I mean?
I've always thought that the name Haley is only for small girls.
Exactly.
You can't be a grown-up woman named Haley.
No, you can't be a grown-up Haley or a grown-up Josh.
Josh I hadn't thought of, but now that you mention it.
So become a Joshua.
Especially because when they're kids, they're usually called Joshy.
Yeah. Josh is in your 20s, early 30s. After that, you got to become Joshua. You know what I mean? Anyway, food for thought.
Tangent. Apologies to all the Joshes and Haleys out there.
Yeah, it's not on you, but become a Joshua. I know you can't do anything about your name. So that is the movie Suburbia. What happens in the end? Do you want to hear what happens in the end?
You can remind me, but can I ask, did you enjoy this movie?
I found it interesting. I kept thinking of Trainspotting. Like there's definitely things over Trainspotting.
But it's American. It's not.
Yeah, it's American.
British.
If I didn't have the background of it, I wouldn't have liked it.
Yeah.
But I found interesting things in it.
Yeah.
You know, so
I don't remember it much. I definitely remember watching it at one point, but I don't remember much of it.
It's very authentic, and there's a definite cool to it. You can see why it could be cultish. I just found it very interesting. And then, of course, the Pet Shop Boys link is that how did it come about? Is that they loved the movie. They said they loved the film's themes of youth culture, social disillusionment, and suburban ennui. Suburban ennui. The song's lyrics reflect these themes, exploring feelings of frustration, rebellion, and disconnection in suburban life. They love the desperation and emptiness of suburban life, because that's a big thing about it.
Yeah.
Is it like you're supposed to feel that like, oh, suburbia, suburban utopia is kind of the goal we all aim for.
But
these guys are in it. It is dreadfully boring. It's like, this is not it. And also, it does uncover things like there is the one dad who's supposed, now he keeps shitting on the punks and he's trying to be upright, but he's abusive towards his daughter.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things like that of going, you're in suburbia and it's supposed to be perfect, but there's a lot of shit happening behind the...
And the punks aren't necessarily the villains.
The bad guys. No, they're not the bad guys at all. They're just misunderstood and no one wants to understand them.
Sounds quite deep.
It is deep. Pet Shop Boys love the sense of rebelliousness and nonconformity. Even in the song, Run with the Dogs Tonight.
Yeah.
That's obviously the wild dogs. Yeah. The wild dogs, which is a metaphor somehow for dickish 80s dogs.
Dickish 80s dogs.
That is.
Hashtag dogs are dicks.
80s dogs. 80s dogs are dicks.
Okay.
New dogs are better. 80s dogs always biting us. Always. Always biting us, the bastards. So that is very different recommendations
Very different
from
recommendations this week.
Wombles to Suburbia.
Quite the spectrum.
Quite the spectrum. Then, of course, the director of that went on to make Wayne's World 1, which is very different.
Very not like a documentary,
Hey?
actually. Although,
Yeah.
maybe now that you mention it,
Yeah,
maybe.
got Rob Lowe in it. Not going to complain about that.
We'll never complain.
Not going to complain about that. I want to wrap it up with a documentary. Something that's on Netflix right now. You would never watch it.
Okay.
Mr. McMahon.
Never heard
So
of
it's
it.
about-
Hasn't been recommended to me.
No, exactly. It's really, the algorithm goes, how slow? No. So it's about Vince McMahon, the guy who basically turned wrestling into what it is today.
I've heard of him. Yes.
Built up the WWF.
I know who he is,
It's
yeah.
his story. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about that documentary now. If you want to hear about it, I do have another podcast, Working Title FC. We've started talking about sports documentaries in that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So you're not only talking about football there.
No, because you know what the thing is? Here's the tough thing. Doing the 80s show, we know none of our news ever dates,
Yes.
right? It's the friggin' 80s,
Yeah.
right? Sports, if people
Yo.
don't listen in 24 hours, the
Yeah.
show's wasted.
So
You
you've
know?
got to like branch out into
So,
your content.
yeah, so we've kind of
Okay.
changed our content to be a little bit more long lasting.
Oh, nice.
You know, so that's what we've done. Basically, I took the format of the 80s show and I did sports. That's
Okay.
No, so that's Working Title FC. A new episode will come out on Friday, the 4th of October, and we'll be talking about Mr. McMahon in that. Now, of course, wrestling is very linked to the 80s if you were a young boy. Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Mr. T was with Hulk Hogan at one point. So WWF is very 80s. Very 80s. Loads of 80s stuff there. I loved it for that.
Yeah.
You don't love wrestling, you
No,
know.
I did not.
But, however, they show one thing, and I went, let's go down a little bit of a rabbit hole here. Dori, which 80s pop starlet do you think is the only 80s pop starlet with her own entry on the WWF Wikimedia? Or the wiki, because you know wiki is like his fan section of
Yes.
the WWF Wiki. Which 80s pop starlet has her own entry on it?
I literally could not even begin to guess.
Take a guess. 80s pop starlet.
Cyndi Lauper.
Dori, it's as if we did any preparation. Yes, it is Cyndi Lauper.
Really? You're joking.
Good guess, though. Good guess, but I think somehow in your brain you knew.
How did I know?
So Vince McMahon, he now wants to make the WWF bigger. He says it was hokey before. It's a lame. Wrestling is a bit lame. We can make it bigger. Goes full entertainment stuff. I got Hulk Hogan. He's this massive star. We got to do crossover stuff. And MTV is also coming out at the same time. And he goes, well, we're going after the same audience. You guys are challenging establishment. I'm challenging establishment. Let's do shit together. What he also had was the benefit of Cyndi Lauper in her video, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Captain Lou Albano plays her dad. So remember in the beginning, there's a dad says you can't go. That's a wrestler. He's a
Okay.
wrestler, right?
Didn't know that.
Yeah. So he pops up a few times. So Vince McMahon goes, this is a great idea. I'm going to start inviting Cyndi Lauper onto all the different talk shows because now they start expanding it into different sorts of content. And she's on the talk show and Captain Lou Albano starts saying he's responsible for Cyndi Lauper's success, for this hit of hers, right? Because people loved the video. And of course, he was in the video. And then, of course,
Did people love it because he was in the video?
but that's what he's like saying. This is like
Right.
the whole spiel of the story, right?
Okay.
And then he claims, also, you didn't give me credit because I wrote half that song.
Okay.
So this is the story. It's not true, but this is the
Yes.
story. So Cyndi Lauper gets totally upset by this, hits him with a chair or a table, and now they got to fight.
Okay.
Okay, but of course Cyndi Lauper can't fight, and he's retired. So they get what Vince McMahon was trying to do was promote women's wrestling. So each one of them backed a female wrestler who they then fought. Okay.
Okay.
Promo, crossover, great. So he sees how well this does. And he goes, okay, we're doing this thing called WrestleMania. Okay. WrestleMania now, I think, is like WrestleMania 40 or some shit. What it must be. Yeah. But this was the first one. I want it to be as big as a Super Bowl. And year one, he's got Mr. T, he's got Liberace, he's got Muhammad Ali. He completely goes like, this is then Madison Square Garden, complete crossover. And I got Cyndi Lauper. But in the story of the Cyndi Lauper and Hulk Hogan team up, Okay.
Okay.
And now Cyndi Lauper's managing Hulk Hogan against another wrestler in his fight. It's a whole thing. Cyndi Lauper ends up in the ring with people. Just shenanigans.
It sounds like it.
Okay. So Cyndi Lauper now gets linked to WWF. And in the early days of them trying to build credibility in, mainstream circles and kind of cross over in this new youth crowd that they're trying to go after. Because he said, before then, it was just a bunch of old, rednecks watching wrestling.
Yeah.
And he said, we wanted to go after younger kids.
And it clearly worked.
And it clearly worked. And Cyndi Lauper was the key to it. And Cyndi Lauper doesn't even end there, because when she does her music video for Goonies, Good Enough, she also has the wrestlers, Captain Lou Albano back in, Roddy Piper, Wendy Richter, Fabulous Moolah, Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov, Freddie Blassie, and Andre the Giant. If you know wrestling.
I've heard of two of those people.
Andre the Giant was in The Princess Bride.
Yes, which you'll never watch.
And then I might watch it. But anyway, so that is Cyndi Lauper, the only pop starlet from the 80s with her own Wikimedia entry.
Cool.
Hey,
I learned so many things today.
this is why you got to watch documentaries, people. It's why you got to watch documentaries.
You can learn stuff.
You can learn things.
And I taught you about wombling.
Hey, listen, and I taught you about dickish 80s dogs. So we hope that you have learned a lot of things on that 80s show this week. What was your absolute favorite thing that I taught you? I mean, because obviously we started off with the Hoff.
Yeah.
We spoke about Thomas Anders and his grapes, God level, Rick Rolling, the endings of 80s TV shows.
Yo.
Some people will be triggered by that.
Yeah.
You were triggered.
I was a little bit, yeah.
No, you were triggered. I didn't say it once this show, but everything we spoke about on the show today will be found on that 80 Show essay on Facebook. That's where the cool kids are. Facebook. Spell it. Facebook.
I think saying it's where the cool kids are is a little bit of a stretch, but okay.
FB.
Our page is cool. We post cool shit.
We do. People
do.
like it. Everything we spoke about. Like I say,
Yeah.
that 80 Show essay on Facebook.
I think my favorite thing was the Cyndi Lauper thing. I can't believe I guessed that.
Great guess.
Yeah.
It's natural, though.
Came to my brain.
I think it's natural, though. Because it's not going to be Madonna.
Yeah, it wasn't going to be Madonna.
It's not going to be Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
It's kind of the only game in town, I suppose. So actually, it's not that impressive.
Fine. Be like that.
It wasn't going to be Tiffany. No. Oh, listen, quick shout out while I mentioned Tiffany. I don't know how this made me think. If you want to listen to one interview this week, one other podcast that's not that 80 show, The Celeb Savant, he interviews Fab from Milli Vanilli. It is fucking fab.
Yes,
and the
it's
irony of
brilliant.
it, the best part of it, listening to his real voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a fantastic speaking voice. Thanks for joining me, Dori.
Bye.